In the words of Francis of Assisi, when he met Brother Dominic on the road to Umbria, hi. What made Jesus of Nazareth the greatest lover in human history is that he really knew, and he really knows tonight, what hurts his people. A close friend of mine, an Episcopal priest in Columbus, Ohio, walked into his office at the church on a Monday morning in 1981. He wrote a hasty letter of resignation to the vestry. Then he went back to his home, sat down at the kitchen table, and wrote a letter to his wife and his 3 kids, all the children under the age of 10, that he was abandoning them. He fled to a logging camp in New England, took a job in Vermont as a logger, and one Saturday afternoon in January, it was about 10 below zero, the priest was sitting in this portable aluminum trailer that he'd rented. The only source of heat was a tiny portable aluminum heater. Well, the heater suddenly quit and died. Within minutes, the temperature in the trailer was below zero. Shivering, in a fit of rage, the priest picked up the heater, flung it through the window, broke the window, and shouted, "Christ, I hate you! Damn you, God, get out of my life! I'm finished with this Christian crap. It's all over." He sank to his knees, defeated and weeping. And in the bright darkness of faith, he heard a voice from within say, "It's okay, Kevin. I understand. I'm here, I'm with you, and I'm for you." Then he heard Jesus weeping within him. Christ felt what he was feeling. It was an overwhelming experience of intimacy. That same afternoon, Kevin Martin packed his bags, returned to Columbus to be reconciled with his family and his church, and went on to pastor the most dynamic, alive, spirit-filled Episcopal church in America, St. Luke's in Seattle, Washington. You read this moment, do you really believe that Jesus Christ loves you? Not the person next to you, not Mother Teresa, not Billy Graham, not the church, not the world, but that he loves you beyond worthiness and unworthiness, beyond fidelity and infidelity, that he loves you in the morning sun and the evening rain, without caution, regret, boundary, limit, breaking point. No matter what's gone down, he can't stop loving you. This is the Jesus of the Gospels, the Jesus of my own journey. This is not something I read in a book or heard in a sermon. This is the Christ that by the grace of God I've met in my own life. It was about 24 years ago. Funny, April Fool's Day, 1975. I woke up in a doorway on Commercial Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I woke up in an alcoholic fog, sniffing vomit all over my sweater, staring down at my bare feet, didn't know a wine note stole in my shoes during the night to buy a bottle of Thunderbird. I've been out in the street about 3 weeks, sleeping on the beach until the cops caught me, under the bridge, in doorways. I was panhandling enough money to get a quart of vodka every day. Same filthy clothes, rancid body odor. And I lived to drink. And that morning I woke up in the alcoholic fog. I see a woman coming down the sidewalk, maybe 25 years old, with blonde hair, attractive lady. She got a 4-year-old son in her hand. The boy broke loose from his mother's grip, ran over to the doorway, and stared down at me. His mother came up quickly behind him, cupped her hand over his eyes, and said, "Don't look at that filth. All that is pure filth." And about 24 years ago, that filth was Brennan Manning. And the God I've come to know, the Jesus I have met in my own life, loved me as much that morning in a state of disgrace as he does tonight in the state of grace, for his compassion is never, never, never based on our performance. It knows no shadow of alteration or change. Jesus is the fulfillment of the Isaiah prophecy, the bruised reed of your life he will not crush, and the smoldering wick he will not quench. until he's led the truth of your life story to victory. This night, will you let Jesus come to you on his terms? Will you let him love you as you are and not as you should be? Because nobody in this ballroom is as they should be. I live in New Orleans and my doorbell rang the summer before last. I open, it's a woman about 35 years old. She asks, "Are you Brennan Manning?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Well, obviously we've never met. I was given your name by a friend, and I was hoping that, I was just wondering if..." She started to cry. I said, "How can I help you?" She said, "My daddy's at home dying of cancer. I've asked the pastor of my own church 3 times to go and pray with him. He said he promised that he will, but then he gets so caught up in his own sermon preparation, his administrative agenda, he forgets. I don't think my daddy has long to live. Could you come and pray with him?" I said, "I'll be there in 10 minutes. We go to the man's house. I walk back into his bedroom. He's lying on his bed. His head is propped up on 2 pillows. There's an empty chair beside his bed. I said, "Hi, guess you expected me." He said, "No, sir, who are you?" I said, "Honest mistake, I saw the empty chair. I thought you were expecting company." He said, "Oh, yeah, the chair. You mind closing the door?" I closed his bedroom door, wondering myself, what is going on here? This old guy says to me, "Brennan, I've never told anybody this in my whole life, even my daughter. But all my life, I've never known how to pray. Go to church on Sunday, my pastor talks in prayer, goes right over my head. Finally, one Sunday, I get the courage to say to my pastor, I get zilch out of your sermons on prayer. He reaches in his desk drawer, takes out this book and says, "Here, read this. It's by Hans Urs von Balthasar, Swiss theologian, best book on contemporary prayer of the 20th century. He said, "Brennan, I take the book home. The first 3 pages, I got to look up 11 words in the dictionary. Next Sunday, I give the book back to my pastor saying, "Thank you very much," under my breath for nothing. And that day, I abandoned any attempt at prayer till one day, 4 years ago, my best friend, who I don't think is very spiritual, says to me out of the blue, "You know, Joe, prayer is just a simple matter of having a conversation with Jesus. What you do is you sit down in a chair, you place an empty chair in front of you, in faith, see Jesus on the chair, and he's there because he promised, I'll be with you every day until the end of time. Then just speak to him and listen as you would in a conversation with your best friend." This old guy says to me, "Brennan, I've been doing that 2 hours a day now, the last 4 years. I love to do it. I'm careful, in fact cautious. I don't want my daughter to see me talk to an empty chair, you know. She'd say, funny farm for daddy. But you got a background in this. You think it's prayer?" I said, "Joe, you don't have to ask me. That is so simple, so unsophisticated, so honest, so open, so real, that delights the heart of Jesus." He said, "Yeah. I anoint him with oil. I pray with him. I go back to my house, and 2 nights later, his daughter returns to tell me her daddy died that afternoon. I asked, did he seem to die in peace? She said, yes, but I left the house at 2 o'clock to go to the store. He called me over to his bedside, told me one of his corny jokes, and he kissed me on the cheek. When I got back just before 3, I found him dead." But she said, "Brennan, strange, beyond strange. This is weird. At the moment my daddy died, he leaned over and put his head on an empty chair beside his bed." Do you know that Jesus? Not about him. Do you know him? Is this the way that you relate to him?